Welcome to the greatest day of the week. It's Friday, which means we have the chat box Veil live, everybody. We are the only podcast here that looks towards getting a lot of help with mental health and emotional situations and things like that. And each week we feature a very fabulous local to share a new experience with us on how we can manage life in general. We have Jennifer Saito, as always. I'm Liz, and today our guest is Jennifer Pronga, and I call what I was drawn to you, because I don't know why I said drawn, because it's magnetic mind. And so I was like, what's interesting about that? And I just kept going through and looking into what you do. You work with teens, but then you also work with everybody with issues or like problem solving solutions in a different way than we've seen so far here on the chat box, which I love. We have had many different types of people here. And the cool thing about that is, you know, everybody has different issues and different dynamics in their world, and not everything works for everybody. You know, some people will not go to like a therapist or a psychiatrist. So when they see something that you're going to introduce to the world, it's something really cool because we have a whole new thing to look at, and there's so many different directions we can go in our lives. There's not just one path, because that stigma is done.
Yes.
That stigma is over. We don't always have to be medicated or talking to somebody with a pencil and laying on the sofa. This is my issue today, you know? So we're so happy to have you here today.
Well, thank you.
And I know you're going to do some work with us to show what the magic of the situations are that you do. But why don't you give a little synopsis as to what you do, and we'll talk first about what you do, the work you do with teens, because I think that's through a lot of athletic programs, which is, were you an athletic kid?
Yes, I was.
Figures. She's all the things I wasn't. She's all the good stuff. We're like the good cop, bad cop. I was not, okay? I made the softball team because my mom was the coach, and they threw me way out there. I mean, look at this. This is not athleticism here, okay? But I do know what it means to be part of a team, and I did like tennis, and I was like geeky sports. But there's something about teamwork and not always winning, but just having that camaraderie and that sisterhood or brotherhood or mixturehood of people connecting and being part of something. I know that has to have a big take a big hold on people's emotional and wellness.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For sure.
So let's go from there.
So actually, I'm going to back up just a little bit because, sorry.
Beep,
my,
beep, beep,
my
beep.
program is actually designed for teens, but through their mothers. Because moms are their greatest teachers. We model how to be, how to perceive the world, how to show up in the world. And so I'm really passionate because I am a mother of a 14 and 15-year-old.
That's great. You're a mama too. Once again, not me.
It's all right. We need everyone, right?
Just because you can doesn't mean you have to.
Make the world go round here.
That's right.
So, so I work with the moms with this mindset program. And for the moms, it is mindset. It's a mother coming to me that is that's struggling because they're watching their child struggle. And there's nothing more painful than watching your child struggle. And I don't think that there is probably a parent out there of a middle school child or a high school child that has not watched their child go through some kind of suffering, whether it's bullying or not fitting in or stress of academics or sports, whatever it is. Life is tough for teenagers right now, and you throw in the social media, it's very challenging. So the moms come to me because of that, and they're coming because they want to create something better for their kids. I created the athlete program because the kids don't really see that, or you know, in that moment they are, in that moment they're suffering and they're sad and they're upset, but besides that, they don't want to feel like we're trying to fix them. So
right, so it's kind of just a fun way to
so then I created the
them.
athlete. Yeah,
it's a great
Let me
idea.
meet them where they are.
So sneak them into something that's helping them without letting them know they're getting help.
Yeah, right, exactly. And it's all like you were saying, athletes is playing sports is a lot of sports. It's a mental game, right? And so is just, you know, living and playing the game of life. It's
I know ping pong was mental. I was good at it.
So you are
love
athletic.
I don't know if that's athletic, I could probably do a mean,
yeah.
what do you call the game that all us old people are playing now?
Pickleball.
Pickleball!
Yeah.
I'd rather just sit back and eat pickles, to be honest with you. So explain how the athlete program works. And she's a mom of 2 boys, but they're a little bit older now, so I don't know if they would benefit.
Flown. Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay. Well,
She's an empty nester.
oh, all right. Yeah, so the teen athlete program is 8 weeks.
Okay.
And I've created short TikTok-style videos. So each module, there are 8 modules, 8 weeks, consists of about 4 to 5 videos.
Okay.
And these videos range anywhere from 2 minutes to maybe 15 minutes at the most. Not 15, 10, because these kids none of us really have the attention span that we used to with all with the cell phones. So each one we go through setting goals. We go through setting up a plan and how we're going to meet those goals. We create a alter ego as our second module, because a lot of these kids are coming in and maybe they're the shy, quiet type of kid. They're athletic. They're really great at what they do, but they're not maybe aggressive. So we create an alter ego to kind of borrow this competitiveness, this maybe more aggressive way to bring that out on the field for them. So that's one. We have one on bouncing back from mistakes, and we talk about how mistakes are our greatest teacher.
Right.
We learn from mistakes. That's how we grow. So,
and I would think that if you learn how to deal with it at a younger age, it's easier to manage life as an adult.
Absolutely.
I'm in a different age bracket. So when we grew up, our parents were not as wonderful as you guys are. Where if they saw me starting, they'd be like, figure it out, and go away.
Total
I'm not kidding.
generation.
So I had to do all of the work on my own. Even if I was struggling like in math, I couldn't do math. Nobody would. They're like, whatever, go cheat. We don't care.
Right.
But it's just the time, the generational difference. But now parents, men and women, are so involved in their kids' lives. You see dads that. I think I was 30 when my dad threw his arm around me. I was like, woo, who are you? You know what I mean? So it's a whole different scenario these days. And that's what we have to focus on, because what's in the past is in the past. Now, people of my generation are obviously too old to have kids, but there are still people coming out of that arena with parents that were not present like you guys are as parents, that have to figure out ways to work out being a parent and getting through life without having the proper tools that they should have been taught at home.
Yes, yeah. And that's what this is. This is creating a toolbox. It's creating a toolbox for the parent. It's walking the parent through what they want to create. So the cornerstone of my program is really creating versus problem solving.
Okay.
When we're focused on the problem, we create what we focus on. So if you're focused on the problem, you're stuck in that problem. Sure, we can make some leeway when we're focusing on the problem, but it's so much more powerful to go into the creation. What is it that you want to create? Let's focus on that. And when we come up against resistance, then we do something really cool. I'm certified with a gentleman named Chris Duncan out of Australia, and he created what's called the Super Conscious Recode.
Ooh.
And
Recode, is that like a swipe and clean it and come back?
Really kind of. I mean, we all know with so much research that our minds there's neuroplasticity, that we can rewire our brains. And
absolutely. EMDR is one great example.
EMDR
I've actually had that for myself for a traumatic situation. And the way my reactions were throughout my whole life until I had this is completely the opposite of how my reactions are to situations this day. Comparably so. So I am living proof that there is a rewiring possibility for everybody that's struggling or going through something or is haunted by stuff. I mean, to me, some of the damage is being haunted by things that you just said. You don't always think you're thinking about it, but if you pretty much your day-to-day life is still encompassed around that because you didn't do any work on it. Does that make sense? Is that right?
Well, I'm going to talk about the 3 levels of the conscious mind. So that's the unconscious mind.
That's the unconscious mind.
That's keeping you
I do my best when I'm unconscious. I'm at my best.
But back to the recode. So like for example, let's say we have a volleyball player,
Okay.
and through my program, they've identified what their goal is, where they want to go, what their creation is, and they've identified a plan, what they're going to do to achieve that goal. So it might be, 4 days a week, I'm going to practice outside of regular volleyball practice. I'm going to practice like 15 to 20 minutes a day. 2 days a week, I'm going to watch film, because when I watch professional players play, I learn the game and I get to know the game. So they've set up this plan, but life gets in the way and you end up sitting there watching TikTok, right? Instead of following your dream and creating what you really, really desire.
Oh, because they get distracted.
Well, it's not even distraction. That's really what it really ends up being, is it's a limiting belief. It's that resistance. It's like, this is what I want. This is what I know I need to do to get what I want, but I'm not doing it. I mean, how many times have we all been there where you're like, I want to lose 10 pounds. Well, I can't eat that donut, but then I'm eating a donut, right? What that is the unconscious mind, a limiting belief that believes I'm not good enough to be a varsity volleyball
so
player.
we're our own worst
or
default.
Right. And it's really interesting. The unconscious mind is not against us. It's just trying to keep us safe. But so back to, and I'll get back to
That's
that.
okay. I like going back because it all comes together in the
it
end.
does. So the superconscious recode is, it's using your, again, we'll talk about this, using your superconscious consciousness to give new instruction to the unconscious mind that has this limiting belief that's having you just pick up TikTok and sit there and play on TikTok instead of practicing and becoming the volleyball player you want to become.
Yeah.
So why don't we go into the 3 levels of conscious mind? So we have our conscious mind, that's our logical mind. That's today, I wrote a little, guideline of what I wanted to talk about today, and I used my conscious mind to do that, right? Our conscious mind is what chooses what we want. It's the mind that discerns what's good and bad, and it's like, I want to create this. I want to lose 10 pounds, or I want to be a varsity, volleyball player, or I want to have a really tight, connected relationship with my daughter before she goes off to school. And these years are challenging, and I want to be intentional about creating that. So our conscious mind chooses what we want, right?
But you still plot it because you arrange what you want.
Yes.
That's why it's the conscious mind.
The conscious
So you're
mind
like doing
chooses.
an outline per se.
And it's the mind that we're aware of.
Right.
It's the mind that we know.
It doesn't play tricks on us.
That doesn't play tricks. So then it's our unconscious mind that our unconscious mind is what beats our heart. We don't have to say, oh, beat your heart right now, right? We have this intelligence. We have this unconscious mind that is beating our heart, that is, telling us to take a breath. That is our habits, that we don't have to sit there and figure out how we tie
Not
our
on a
shoe.
daily basis.
Once we create a habit, our unconscious mind now, it's like a computer. It's like the why can't I think right now? It creates all the programs.
Like a grid or something?
Yeah. Well, it's like the computer that has all the programs that you just have to.
She knows what you're talking about. I know it.
Yeah. I'm totally drawing a blank right now. But,
Spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Thing.
No, it's the computer that knows how to do everything, right?
Supercomputer.
It's your supercomputer. Our unconscious mind is brilliant. Our unconscious mind, which some people call the primitive mind, or I like to refer to it as the caveman mind, its number one job is to keep you safe, to keep you alive and to keep you safe. That's
That
why
must be my forefront personality. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm always feeling that way.
right.
Even if I'm not in any kind of danger.
Fear, it's the
It's
fear.
anxiety.
So that's the
Excuse me.
caveman mind. It had to kind of live in this fearful state because it had to constantly be wondering what was behind the bushes, or how it was constantly in survival mode. And it also had to fit in. It had to be part of a tribe. If you weren't a part of a tribe, you were going to die. So that's, that's that part of us that's like, oh my gosh, no one likes us, especially a teenager.
Right.
Nobody likes us. I don't fit in. There isn't a group. So this is the unconscious mind that then creates these limiting beliefs. So last night I had a limiting belief that popped up that was like, wait a second. You're not ready to do this. You don't want to go live on TV and make a fool of yourself. So my unconscious mind was stepping in with these unlimiting beliefs saying, you should cancel, you should, or our teenagers who are like, nobody likes me, I don't fit in, I don't belong. So those are our limiting beliefs that get in the way of our goals, what we want to create.
Well, I'm glad you did not take that step.
I didn't.
I'm proud of you. You're having a good time,
I
right?
do this work.
You wouldn't know
I'm
that.
well trained.
You're live.
So I talked myself off the ledge.
Nice.
And then our third level of consciousness, which a lot of people don't talk about, is our superconscious, hence superconscious teens. So our superconscious is what people refer to as like your higher self, your higher mind. In the Christian religion, it's the Holy Spirit. They talk about the Holy Spirit as the part of you that's directly connected to God, the universe, a higher source, right? Our superconscious is also our intuition. It's that gut feeling. It's like, oh, I knew that wasn't right. It's, again, this intelligence that our conscious mind isn't aware of.
So it's not really like a psychic experience. It's just an awareness.
It's an awareness, and it's tapping into that, and it's, it's utilizing it. It's becoming more familiar with this, this intelligence that we already have. And we have it when we are playing a sport and you're right on and you're in flow, if you're an artist, if you are a writer and you're just in flow and it's just flowing out of you, that's your superconscious.
Yeah, I can relate to the writing part.
Yeah. Do you have a part, can you relate to that?
For me, it's music. I think that puts me in touch with it. But yeah.
Yeah. So that's
and then, do you mean like the voice that's in your head? Like, is it the same voice like that would be like criticizing you, or like
that would be the unconscious?
That's the unconscious.
If it's criticizing, if it's negative, that's more of the unconscious. That it's not bad. It's trying to protect you.
It's almost like the superconscious is the opposite.
But exactly, the superconscious is that like,
you got this.
Yeah, you got this, or
so that's your music.
Or the music, like it just flows. When you're in that flow state, that's your higher self.
Yeah,
that's your superconscious.
I can't write without crying. It's so annoying.
Yeah, you're tapping into emotion.
I've been in a book writing mode. I'm not ready for any announcements or anything like that, but I've been writing a lot of chapters. And once I hit a certain level, I'm just like, ooh, ooh, and I write by hand, so the tears are dropping on the paper. And I don't like to type while I'm thinking. I like to handwrite when I'm thinking.
That's getting you directly connected.
Oh,
yeah.
Ooh, I love
more
that.
handwriting.
Is that right?
And that's also what's kind of sad about technology. And,
oh my God.
Kids don't. I mean, journaling is so powerful.
Journaling is huge, and you can still use your computer to do it.
Yeah.
But there's something that gives you this connectability. And I didn't know this till you're saying it now, but there is an attachment. It's coming from you within, and it's leaving, and it's coming out of you and your person while you write it down. And I guess that does make a lot of sense, because when you want to plan for a play or stuff like that, I've seen your book.
Yeah.
She has a book, but unfortunately with my beautiful ADD friend, she has notes, but then the notes will start going to the side, and then you have to flip 3 pages to pick up from the last one, and then she can't remember where the first note went. So it's interesting, but it still keeps you together.
Yeah.
Because that's how your brain works.
Absolutely.
That's exactly cool. I love that.
And it's creative.
I would fall apart.
Exactly.
I would fall apart. I have to have more organization, because otherwise I think I would be just a hot mess. But it's funny, it works for you. And it keeps you in sync.
I mean, it's not like I choose that. It's not like that's the chosen method, because that's what makes sense to me. Like, it's just
it works for you.
It works for me. I mean, I would like there to be more organization like in my brain, but like that's like one of the biggest challenges I face is being organized in my note taking and the information that I'm consuming and
Yeah.
how I'm going to go back to that later. And sometimes it's just the act of writing something that helps me memorize things.
Okay, I have a hot seat question for you.
For me.
Yeah, I got her for Christmas an organizer, calendar, book, ledger, journaler. Have you even picked it up?
I've picked it up.
I looked at it. Look how funny
I'm
it is.
like, this is cute.
It's a how to keep your blank together book.
I love it. I love it.
But if it's out of sight, it's out of mind. That's part of
Yeah.
ADHD too. So
Is it-
unless it's like attached to my hip, then it's really hard for me to
That makes sense.
remember to jot that down
Right.
unless I'm actively and intentionally taking notes
Okay.
for something. So, yeah, it's a challenge for sure.
Well, why don't we, I talked to you earlier about doing a process. I use NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming, and it's really great for kids. It's great for all of us. But
We're kids.
Yeah, we are.
We're big
We
kids.
should, yeah, that's a great way to go about it. But this would be a great way to kind of introduce you to the work I do.
I think
Coming
this is
from-
great.
I'm excited. Let's
Coming
do it.
from a creative orientation, how do we orient to the world? Are we coming from a problem, or are we coming from a creation? Because whatever we focus on, we create more of. So if we're focusing on the problem, we're going to create more of the problem, right?
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
so what I do with my the people I work with, whether they're moms or the teens, is I tell them to get sticky notes and write, and we're going to use snowflakes instead of sticky notes. And you're going to write a P on one for problem. You're going to put it on the ground. And then you're going to write C on the other one for creation.
Okay.
And put it in front of that. And then you're going to put an S on it for
Solution.
seed.
Oh,
Seed.
solution. I was all excited.
We'll explain what this.
Throw the
what S
seed.
is,
Oh, it's over
what the
there.
seed
Okay,
is.
so problem.
So,
Wait. Problem. What was the other one?
creation.
Creation. And then
And then seed.
seed.
We're being the
Don't
seed.
put that seed too close to me.
And instead of standing up, because we have these microphones on, I'm just going to kind of walk you through this. And really, you can just walk through this. You don't have to stand up. But again, like writing it with your hand instead of typing, standing up and physically walking into these processes actually help
Does she have to
rewire the
talk
brain.
while you do it? Because you can always unplug.
No,
Like-
we're just gonna sit.
Okay, and just ground your feet.
We're gonna
Maybe
kind
be
of
grounded.
pretend like I'm gonna pretend like
No,
you're
gra-
standing up and walking through this. So your problem is, and you kind of just shared that with us.
My problem is that I have ADHD and I would like to be more organized
Okay.
in my day to day.
Okay, so then your creation would be, what would you like to create if you were just looking at the end result? What would that creation look like?
A system that keeps me organized on a daily basis.
It just feels like magic. That just works
It
for
just
you.
works for me. Yes.
It makes sense. It actually is going to create time for you, and
Yes.
and you
exactly.
feel like you have everything in order. You're
Exactly.
feeling empowered and on top of the world. So, and then what the S is, the C, because obviously we can't go from I feel very disorganized. I feel there's a lot of chaos in my life to bang, you're in the creation of I've got this system that is like magic for me. It works. I feel empowered. We don't go from A to B like that.
Right.
What we do is we are the seed. We are the early version of the creation. So what I want you to do is I want you to close your eyes and pretend like you're standing up and you're standing on the snowflake that has the P on it, the
Okay.
problem. And just kind of tell us what it feels like to be in the problem.
It feels messy and chaotic and familiar, but also overwhelming.
And overwhelming.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Open your eyes. Okay, what did you have for lunch today?
God, I don't even know.
Sorry, I have
Pizza.
to.
2 minutes ago.
Pizza. 2 minutes ago. A late lunch. So that's just clearing the mind. Okay. And now what I want you to do is to close your eyes and step onto the sea snowflake, into the creation, into this amazing system that is like magic for you, It just makes everything work so smooth. You know exactly what's next. You know what's coming. It's so organized and it's working so well for you that if something just comes up in your day that's unexpected, it's not a problem. You can fit it in because you're that organized. You feel empowered. You feel like you've actually created more time for yourself. Tell me what that feels like for you.
That feels amazing and clean and organized and definitely like a weight lifting off.
Okay,
Wow.
so two totally different feelings.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So what we want to do is we want to throw away this problem. We don't want to be coming from the problem,
like
right?
that.
See
Yes.
a snowflake.
Right? We've identified where we're going, right? And instead of being in the problem, you want to be in the early stage,
Okay.
the early creation, the seed, right?
The seed, yes.
A tree doesn't become a tree, right? It's first a seed and it germinates and it starts to grow and it gets bigger and taller. So you are the early version of this.
Okay.
So now step on the seed or you don't have, oh yeah, there you go.
I'll touch it.
Don't mess up your microphone. And just kind of visualize what it would be like. What would be kind of the first steps in creating this system for yourself? What would be some of your first action steps you would take?
I think that's where I get stuck every time, and I think that's the part of the ADHD madness is that, you know, the simple solutions like carrying a book or that kind of thing, like, yes, it's simple and it's easy, but like it's not consistent enough. Like I can't be consistent enough with it to do it. So like to think of a better way, like I have one, I've thought of it, I've tried like 10,000 different ways, but like finding one that's consistent and works is the issue. So like I think that's where
You're
I get
stuck on that.
Right.
I'm stuck with the
And
starting
that
point.
feels like you're kind of going maybe back to the problem.
Yeah, it's like in an empty, like a void, right? It's like not in the problem, but it's not like the happy place that I can imagine either. Because
Right.
I see what the end result should be, but I have no idea where to start to get there.
Okay, so a lot of us find ourselves in that situation. Like, I don't know.
What do
Yeah.
you do?
I don't know. If I knew how to be there, I would be
Right.
there, right?
We
There
wouldn't be
are a
calling Jennifer.
lot of very, very successful people that have ADHD,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So do you think there's a pool of people that have ADHD that have found a system that works?
I mean, I have a system. It's not foolproof, but I mean, it's gotten me to where I am now, which is, you know, it's fine. But I just, you know, I think that yes, it exists, and I think that, you know, it's out there for sure. But yeah.
So
I do.
being the seed could be, I'm going to find 3 other people that have created systems. I'm going to get on the internet and I'm going to research different systems that work to organize people with ADHD.
Yeah.
So that's now you're feeling a little more empowered. We're not in the problem, and you've got an action step.
Right.
I'm going to research. There are many different systems out there, and you're going to probably have to play with a couple different of those systems to see what works for you.
Right.
But
yeah.
now you're the seed. Now you're on your way to creating that.
Got it.
And then if you were to, you know, take my program, we would create a plan for you. You create you start with the end goal. So the end goal is, I've got this system and it's magic and it works.
And it works.
And then we just kind of work back to 3 months from now and 1 month from now
I like that.
and where you are today.
Yeah.
So then you're like, okay, so in the next week, I'm going to find 3 people that have a system that works. The following week, I'm going to implement these systems, and I'm going to either throw away 2 of them and maybe add another one, or I'm going, you know, you're going to create this plan or I'm going to tweak. I like this about this system and this about this system, so now I'm going to tweak that system and create one that works for me.
Got it.
The other thing that works, because I bet you have a good system, the other thing that I use is these visualizations. So every single morning before you even get out of bed, you are going to visualize yourself implementing this system.
No, that I love. Yeah, and I think that's what I struggle with too, because I think you're correct in that, like, it's easy to focus on the problem and not visualizing getting yourself to
Yeah.
the, you know, from the seed to the solution or the creation, which I really like the way you phrase that. I think that's really interesting. But yeah, so I think that starting with the visualizations in the morning would be really helpful, for sure. Yeah.
And that is the process of starting to rewire the brain. And what you really want to do is you want to feel the emotion of, you know, I feel empowered. I feel free. I feel like this is magic, that I finally created this thing and life is in flow.
Right.
Like, and that's the super conscious. That's pulling in the super conscious. Like when you are coming from your super conscious instead of your unconscious that's wanting to keep you safe, you are in flow.
Yeah.
You know? So that's the process of, there's so many different ways we can rewire our brain. And that's one of the ways. So
can I ask you, why did you choose to work with teenagers? Do you find that that's an age where they're more malleable, or brains are more malleable? Or
yeah, that is one reason.
Yeah.
This is like, they call this the second window of opportunity, because our brains grow.
Oh, I didn't mean to laugh. It's the first one's been blown. Let's try again.
From, you know, as a child, your brain obviously develops the fastest.
Right, but it doesn't fully develop until you're what, like 18?
25.
25 years old.
Yeah, 22 to 25.
That's crazy.
Until your brain is fully developed.
That's why nobody should get married before they're 30.
Yeah, right. So then there's a second window of opportunity, and it's from the age of, you know, everything kind of varies, but anywhere between like 10 years to 15 years of age, your brain, all of us have the ability to rewire our brains to neuroplasticity. Our brains are plastic, they can be remolded. We all have the capacity of doing that. But teenagers from 10 to 15, theirs is like supercharged right now.
Right.
Theirs is rewiring at a pace that no one else, you know, outside of that age bracket is rewiring.
Right.
So this is a really, really, really important time to create those good habits. It's a really important time to make sure we're not creating the bad habits of sitting there staring at TikTok, or, you know, when kids are in high school, of drinking, or, you know, that kind of stuff. So it's really, really, it is an integral time to step in as parents and really engage with your kids and share this information with them. This is science, you know, and kids are really like intrigued with science. So that's one reason. The other reason is I have a 14 and 15-year-old. So I'm really passionate about doing that with them. And it was my 49th year of life, before I was turning 50, that I was like, this isn't, you know, my life isn't what I envisioned it to be. It was great. I loved my life. I've always been a very grateful person, and had so much, like just a great family and kids, and live in a beautiful place, but it wasn't exactly what I wanted it to be. So I went to school and I sat down, and at first it was just me reading like Joe Dispenza, I love him, Bruce Lipton, Tara Brach, just really studying, like literally studying and meditating. And I had been meditating, but I really, really committed to my practice of meditation. And as I was doing that, I just was like, my kids need to know this information.
Yep. Yeah.
If I knew what I know now, when I was, and you know, this was 5 years ago, I'm almost 55. If I knew what I knew then as a 10-year-old, like, gosh, nothing would have stopped me. Nothing would have stopped me, because I would have known that anything is possible. I would have known that I can create, that we do create our reality. So you either create what you want, or you create what you don't want. And so, that was been my journey. And then just a year ago, my family fell apart, and I am currently going through divorce, which has been heartbreaking.
Oh my God. And
heartbreaking.
How long were you married?
Yeah, 15 years.
That's a long time. You both went through you both are very similar. You both are single moms. You both been through marriages at earlier ages, and now they're dissolve, but it's just interesting because yours was later in life, and yours is only a year fresh from the breakup.
Right.
So that's like just now.
Beings are creators. We create everything from our relationships to our outfits to our careers and, to divorce.
Yeah.
I co-created that with my husband.
But not knowing.
And not knowing.
No knowledge.
No. I mean,
That you're aware of until later.
Yeah, and because of this work, I knew immediately. I was like, what did I do to create this? And I've done some really new therapies to really look at that, to really look at what did I do to create this, because I don't want to create it again.
Right.
I want to make sure. And I think the other thing that's been really, really powerful for my daughters and I is that I'm open with them. And I have taken a really hard look at myself and what I've done to bring my family to this place.
I hope you don't think it's just you.
Oh, no.
Okay,
no,
because
I know it's not me.
Marriage
just
is
me.
two people.
I know that.
We don't put it all on yourself.
No,
Okay,
absolutely
good.
not. We
I shouldn't be telling you
co-create.
this. You're the magnetic mind.
Yeah. And that's, I chose to not be the victim because I've grown up being the victim. I slipped into that role very easily.
Yeah.
And when this happened, I was like, you have no power.
No.
When
you
you're
just
the
become a
victim,
martyr.
you have no power. So I chose intentionally that I was not going to be the victim. I was going to look at my part in this because that's all I have power over. That's all I can change. And I think the blessing for my daughters and I have been is because of, this is another huge part of this, is self-compassion. Self-compassion. And yeah, it is. I mean, people, when I talk about self-love, I can see people like roll their eyes.
God. I'm one of them.
But
Like,
yeah,
please.
like I would not have been able to look at my part in this and productively worked through it if I didn't have self-compassion.
Wow.
Because it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. The most devastating times through this is when I am so fully aware of what I did to create this. Not in like, oh, woe is me, like he hurt me. That's there
that's
too.
the typical
but that's
thing, right?
Right.
But, so the problem that I don't know if it's a problem, but in a situation like yours, instead of, it seems like out of the blue, it ended kind of thing. So with the things you learned about what your part in it was, and then did your ex-husband also go through the same kind of journey as you? Because you would almost think maybe things could work out if you both followed the same path and figured out what was the problem as opposed to just calling it quits.
Yeah.
Right?
And what I've come to, I think I was really kind of stuck in my, like, this is the way to do it.
Oh.
or worrying. And
Okay.
what I've really come to, because what I believe is we are all spiritual beings having a human experience.
Oh, okay.
And we are supported. We are supported by, I believe, by a higher power that is guiding us through this life, and that we are here to learn these lessons. So I believe he's going on his path through this, and I'm going on my path through this, and neither is right nor wrong.
Okay.
There are individual journeys through
Sure.
this. We have a very amicable relationship. We
That's good.
still are in the home on his weeks. He's in the home with our girls, and I feel like we are creating. It's about that. Our daughters didn't create this. We
And that's the
created
most
this.
important thing
Our
for them to
daughters
know.
didn't.
Kids always think it's their fault. It's
I know.
so weird.
And I think the fact that I've been able to be so vulnerable,
Uh-huh.
and I have shared with them, what I did to bring us here. And I'm like, there'll be a day that they probably call me out on it. Right now they are just being the
They're just
sweetest.
learning about
They
it.
are being the sweetest girls and really being there for us, which
That's
worries
great.
me. I'm like, but my
That
my
shouldn't worry you.
husband,
You did that. You
Yeah.
raised kids to have compassion.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
a beautiful
Yeah.
thing.
And they are. They're
Don't
just
let that worry you. That's a
and-
beautiful thing.
and he's modeled that, and so it's heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking, but we I think we're doing the best job we possibly can.
That's all you
through
can
this.
do. But you seem to have such a I mean, we all go through our hard times and the sadness, and especially when a relationship ends. But it does feel like with all of the things that you've been practicing in your professional life, I think it's helped you in your personal life. And I also think it's given you the power and control to bring your daughters in without, there's nothing worse than one of the parents talking bad about the other parent to the kids, and then that taints their mind. So honest and vulnerability and just that raw feeling, if you can bring that in with your children, and your ex can do that too, what a remarkable grown-up way to handle a divorce. I mean, I'm not kidding. So I think that all of your history of practicing and work has brought you to, we can't help when we hurt, but we can't help the way we carry ourselves through it. Yeah. And it seems like you're doing it with more dignity and grace than anybody I've ever met.
Oh.
No,
Thank you.
I'm
and
being
not
serious.
Always, believe me.
Well,
I've had my
you wouldn't
moments,
be
for sure.
quote unquote human.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
And that's where that self-compassion comes in too, of just being like, oh my gosh, I slipped. I know better than this. Why did I do that? You know, and the gentleman that I studied under, Chris Duncan, I love, he says, the mastery isn't in that you never mess up again. We're human, right?
Exactly.
It's never that you're never going to make these mistakes, but it's catching it. It's catching it
and
sooner.
not doing a pattern.
Right. And breaking, and it takes a while to break a pattern, right?
Yeah.
Well,
the pattern's not going to end overnight. So
we don't always get to choose the problems that we have to solve.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, they get
Absolutely.
thrown at us left and right. And so I think what you do is amazing, because you create the framework for handling exactly these things that happen unexpectedly or happen, that you're blindsided by. Like, and when you have that framework, I feel like, that's like what I was saying, like that is your starting point, like, if not knowing where to start in a crisis, like that, having such a simple framework, 3-point, with the problem, the seed,
and the scary seed.
Yeah.
The seed is the scary.
Why
It's
is
S
the
for
seed
scary instead of starting.
no, the seed's better than the problem.
That's like doing the work, that seed right there.
You gotta water it. You
But
gotta
Jen's
nurture
right.
It, yeah.
I have 2 Jens with me. I love it. But no, you're 100% correct, and I just see it as, when you first got blindsided by the breakup, did you see, for your own mental and emotional well-being, did you immediately start doing work right away, or did you wonder? And we all go through the shock of everything.
Yeah, I lost it.
Yeah, well, we all.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my
did,
go-to,
but,
is losing it first, and then I figure everything out later, which is not the greatest. But sometimes when we're surprised or blindsided by something, it's just the way it is. But do you feel like your practice has actually helped you get through it emotionally?
Absolutely.
That's big.
I know I would be an absolute mess.
Wow, that's
and just
amazing.
if it wasn't for, this work. And like my sister went through this 5 years ago. So we learned from our friends and family and friends, people around us. And that's what we're here to learn, and that's what I kind of, say to my husband, as long as we're learning the lesson, then, we can create something that works for us, and it doesn't mean that we're not heartbroken and we're not sad that it was what we always intended it to be. Nobody gets married thinking they're going to get divorced, right? But if we are learning our lessons through this, we can create something that does work. And I had been putting this program together, and it's interesting, the athlete program is talking about all the same stuff too. When you make a mistake,
right.
You have to, acknowledge it.
Right.
You have to acknowledge that you made a mistake, and you have to look at it with self-compassion and know that
you mean you don't call yourself all the names and want to punch yourself in the face?
And that is that unconscious mind.
That is my biggest issue. When I
and our brain's
mess
wired.
up, forget it. I mean,
and we do that. And so and I always tell my kids, there's nothing wrong with you that your brain does that. That's that negative bias. If you've heard of that, or the caveman brain, our brains are wired to go to the negative.
God, I should carry a club around because I'm so caveman.
Yeah, you gotta, that people think it's, I'm hard on myself. And we think that's good to be hard on yourself.
No, it's terrible.
It's not.
It's the worst.
It's not.
And the thing that while we're on that topic is I've been told by Casey Pico, who she does hypnosis locally, and she's been learning a lot about that, is that when you start to say what an idiot you are for doing something stupid, the minute you even start saying it out there, it affects who you are.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you become what you think you are.
Yes, absolutely.
And so there have been times where I'm like, I'll be screaming at myself. I'm like, you're fucking stupid. And then I'll be like, you're not really stupid. You're supposed to say you're not really stupid and take it back, but you're so stupid. But it's like a dichotomy that you're going through, because I am that person. I am that person to the T. And I don't hate myself, but I do ridicule myself on a daily basis. I do mess up and just call myself the world's biggest moron. And I am that person. And people would think, God, you really are a self-loather. But yet I know that I don't hate myself, but I am very hard.
You want to stop that inner voice,
I
because
want to
it's
stop it
affecting
so
you.
hard. That's
Yeah.
my seed right
Yes.
there.
Yeah.
Like, if I could stop that inner voice. I mean, I have woken up and just like, if I trip getting out of bed, I'm like, blippity bloppity breathe, and then my day's wrecked because I'm a blippity bloppity bleep for the rest of
that's how you're
bleeping
starting
day.
your day. No, you lay in bed and meditate until, because I'll tell you, my meditation practice.
I would like to know
changed.
it, because I have anxiety attacks during meditation.
Oh, okay. Well, there's so many different ways you can do it, and again, it's a practice. You're not going to overnight be able to silence your mind. And the fact that you're just intentionally choosing to be quiet, and
That
you
is a
notice
meditation.
the thought, that's meditation.
Right.
You're
listening to a
bringing
song
awareness
for
to
30
that
minutes,
thought.
like
Yeah.
A specific group of songs. If you just concentrate on the notes,
Yes.
the music, the lyrics,
Yeah, that's
and
meditation.
the beats and everything,
Yeah.
that's also meditation. That's the kind of meditation I can do. I don't like when they start at the ankles, and by the time you get to the knees, I'm like, somebody just blow my head off.
and
You know what I
and
mean?
do 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Oh.
I'm just going to do
All
a
it
2-minute meditation. Yeah, start there.
I mean,
Start
I
there.
like breathing. I mean,
Yeah.
we all like to breathe. But my thing is, when I start, as one of her problems that Jen talks about is ADHD. One of mine is anxiety. And sometimes I don't even know what the difference between the two are, because
Yeah,
when
they're
she
very
describes what
related,
she
yeah.
goes through, I feel like I'm that
Yeah.
person too. But then I realize that I'm not exactly that person. I'm an anxious person, which I don't like, because they say anxiety is fear. And I feel like, I'm not afraid of anything, yet I'm constantly a little anxious.
Yeah.
So it's weird, because I don't feel like I'm afraid of a dang thing. But yet,
It's just a little.
it's that
the
little thing
things.
is
Yeah.
teetering.
Just yeah.
But I also think that being afraid of nothing, like, is your defense, right? And so I think that's causing, like, your anxiety is,
Maybe anticipating something to happen.
anticipating. Yeah, and so I feel
That
like
makes
you're
sense.
ready for, like, something
I think you
bad.
are so 100% right, because I have been through the ringer. I mean, literally, there have been maybe small chunks of time where something didn't happen, where I could, I think I had a year. You know what I mean? But it is just one of those situations where you just nailed it, and thanks a lot, but she's right. So
we
if
have
I could
friends.
plant a seed today, I would love to be able to
Yes.
start off
What's your
being
seed?
that person that, I mean, I have had waking anxiety before. I've woke up, sweaty palm. I don't have that anymore, thank goodness. I started doing breathing and whatever, but what you do is something that's good for somebody like me that has anxiety, for somebody that like you that has the ADHD or other issues that we have that hit us out on a daily basis. I can't even turn on the TV without watching our country fall apart, and I am hugely affected, and I feel things too strongly, like over the top, really,
Yeah.
like hardcore. You should have seen me during COVID. You might as well just lock me in a room by myself, because I was just crying and sobbing, watching everything going on, and it's happening
Well,
again.
stop that.
Well, I have.
Yeah. Okay.
I have.
Because I was there too.
Yeah,
and
I
that's been
decided
a
to
big
stop walking in and
changer.
just
Yeah.
clicking to see what
Yeah.
happened today in this disturbing
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
But
And
so
that doesn't mean that we don't have empathy and we don't
No.
take action to
I just
help,
have to guard
but-
my empathy, because my
Right.
empathy is way out
But
there.
getting sucked into it on a daily
Yeah.
basis is not.
So
it's
we
not
have about 5 minutes left to chat, and I would like to give people an example as to finding out that they do have a better way to step through the next phase of life without feeling stuck, without feeling trapped in their own mind, without dealing with all of the things from the past that they can't let go of.
Yes, absolutely. It just really is. What do you want to create? Focus on what it is that you want to create and make that, write it down. Write it down. Be very specific about it. What does it look like? What does it feel like when I've created this? You know, be in the future. It's like we bring it, our minds need to know how it's going to be. So we bring the past into the present. And what we should be doing is visualizing what we want, creating the future, and bringing that into the present.
It's a lot of
Because
manifesting.
we just,
Yeah.
yeah.
I love that.
Because you just create what you already know. If you keep bringing the past
Right.
into the future, you're just creating.
Right, that's a cycle
same.
that you just can't stop. And like you can stare at this all day and be like, oh, I can see all of this.
Yeah.
But you still have to go to the seedling.
You got to
You
have
know,
a plan.
You do, and
You've
that's
gotta-
the hard
yeah.
work.
You
This
got to
is the
take
work.
action. That's the thing about manifesting. It isn't, you know, it isn't just about visualizing
No.
it. You got to take action. So what's your plan? What action steps are you taking to create that vision?
And to take steps into
And just-
being having a better day.
Yeah.
Like I would love to go through the day one time without calling myself an idiot.
Yeah, that's your
One
seed.
fine
That's
day.
your seed.
That's my seed.
I'm going today without saying one negative thing to myself.
For the rest
Or
of the
maybe
day.
an hour. Yeah, right.
Wait, what time is it? Okay, from 6 o'clock on, I'll behave.
Got to be nice to yourself.
Baby steps. Baby steps.
And it's weird
Yeah.
because
I'm sure
I
you're
get,
nice to everyone else.
oh my God.
Yeah.
And then I always say, if I was talked to by somebody else,
Right.
but the way I talk to
Yeah.
myself, they would not be around me anymore. I would just walk away or give them a quick smack or something. But no, I don't.
It
I
will
don't resort to
significantly
that.
change your life if
I
you
love
change that inner dialogue. It will significantly change your life.
Okay, well, I'm leaving
Yeah.
here with some knowledge
Yeah.
and dialogue issues, so I'm going to really I'm going to take that to heart. And do you feel like you've taken anything away from this today?
Yeah, I love the system. I love the idea of, you know, not just manifesting, like actually putting in the work and starting with the seed and even integrating, you know, meditation into the seeding part to like kind of figure out how to do that and, you know, clear your mind. And I think my favorite thing you said is about not bringing your past into your future situations, because otherwise you're repeating
And that's
yourself
hard.
over and over again. And
But that is a hard thing to do. You have to literally catch yourself while
Yeah.
you're doing it,
Yeah.
right?
It's work.
And
It's
even in
work.
the mental exercise that we just did, where I'm imagining like the clear, like the happy place, the magic, right? Like being able to, you can't do that. You can't be in that space when you're holding onto your past. Like there's no room in that vision for that.
Yeah.
And so that was, I feel like I felt that, like when you said that, I was like,
Oh, I like
yeah,
that.
I love
Yeah.
that. So yeah, I think that's huge. I absolutely love that. So that's what I'm going to be.
That's
taking
wonderful.
away.
See, we're already taking things away. If you want to find out more about your experience with Jennifer Pronga and you want to get some information from the website or maybe set up an appointment with you to see if there's a way that people around our community can get a little help with their emotional
Absolutely.
stress or issues, or even if they're depressed or anything like that, I know that there's a way out. So what is your information, how people can reach out to you?
So I have a YouTube channel that has over 20 free videos. That's Super Conscious Teens is my YouTube channel, and then my website is superconsciousteens.com. So
right.
yeah, and there's lots of information on there for moms too.
I think
Works
that's
for
amazing.
adults.
I
Yeah.
can't thank you enough. And adults, big kids. You've been amazing. Thank you
Oh,
for
thank
being
you.
here with
Thank
us.
you
This
for
is
having
Jennifer
me.
Pronga.
Thank
We
you.
are
This
the
was
Chat
great.
Box Live. We are always here for you for mental health issues, any kind of stuff that you need to find yourself a way to get out. You tune in every Friday. We are here in the TV8 studios, which are magical. Thanks to Danielle and Max, our team today. And we are always here on a Friday. We've been live on YouTube, everyone. Speaking of YouTube, try not to tell her. We tried to slip it in there later. But you can find us on all the social media and reach out. And you can always reach out to the chat box for any of the information on any of our guests that have been here, because all of you are just so wonderful and magical. And we can't thank you enough for being part of our community, which is the most important part, the mental health community.
Absolutely. Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you for having me. I
Thank
appreciate it.
you. We wish you all mental health, happiness, light, love, and prosperity, everybody. We'll see you again next Friday right here on the Chat Box Vale Live.